Today on MTG Unpacked, we're getting stuck into the new Doctor Who Commander deck, Timey-Wimey. So this is a blue, red and white deck. You get Doctors 9, 10 and 11. So let's see what else we've got here. So we've got the Alonzi, I think that's how you say it. That was one of his catchphrases. We also have Planechase cards and the Collector Booster sample packs. We got a 100 card deck with 50 new cards, 10 Planechase cards, 10 double-sided token cards, planar die, foil etch display, commander, life wheel, deck box, strategy, insert, and reference card. So let's get into it. So I think this is the most popular of the bunch. Currently going for about 97 bucks on TCG Player, which is about double what it should be. So you might want to hold off on picking this up so you don't pay too much. Alright, so we've got our Planechase cards in here. Check it out. Oh, and the Collector Booster sample pack. Anything else? Nope, we'll set that aside. We have a nice deck box here with the 10th Doctor. I think that's Rose Tyler. We'll set that aside. And some nice punch outs here. I like the TARDIS things there as well. Okay, and then we've got a bunch of stuff in here. So we've got our Planechase die. This is pretty cool. So I think it's like Order and Chaos. So we've got the symbol there. The other symbol here. Lots of stars. Looks awesome. And we have our life counter here. So up to 20 on that side and up to 40 on the other side. So check out what this deck is about. Time may be the wibbly wobbly ball of stuff, but this deck harnesses it by manipulating the flow of time itself. Okay, so time counters are a thing. Probably going to have extra turns and so forth. We've got commander rules here. You can learn about Planechase if you're new to that. And then some lore here about the 10th Doctor. Awesome. And here is Rose Tyler. And a bit about why they picked those colours for those Doctor and Companion. Okay, so let's take a look at our Collector Booster sample pack. So they do actually have Collector Boosters with this set as well. But if you get the Commander decks, you've got every card in the set. Link in the corner in case you missed our opening of that. And we have River Song. Okay, so there's our first rare. And The Beast, Deathless Prince, borderless art. I remember that episode, that was real creepy. Okay, so let's take a look at the Planechase cards. So these things are massively oversized. Very cool back on there. So we start off here with the Lux Foundation Library. It's the library is the plane. Players have no maximum hand size, and whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. And whenever chaos ensues, put a shadow counter on target creature. So a creature with shadow can block or be blocked by only creatures with shadow. Okay, next up. Lake Silencio. Wasn't this the one with the astronaut? That was a cool episode. Plain Earth. Still point in time. All spells have split second. So as long as the spell with split second is on the stat, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. And whenever chaos ensues, Lake Silencio deals 6 damage to target creature an opponent controls. If a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. Next up we have Amy, or Amy's Home. So Amy Pond is one of the characters in the show. Plain Earth. When you planeswalk to Amy's Home and at the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile a non-land card from your hand with a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. And whenever chaos ensues, time travel. So for each suspended card you own and each permanent you control with a time counter on it, you may add or remove a time counter. Onto the Ood Sphere. Those were some weird aliens in the show. Plain Horsehead Nebula. Song of the Ood. Non-creature spells have Convoke. So players' creatures can help cast those spells. Each creature they tap while casting a non-creature spell pays for 1 or 1 mana of that creature's colour. And we have Red Eye for the Chaos Ensue thing here. For each opponent, goad up to 1 target creature that opponent controls. Until end of turn, those creatures can't become tapped unless they're being declared as attackers. And here we have Human Time Lord Metacrisis Phenomenon. When you encounter Human Time Lord Metacrisis, each player chooses 1 or 2 creatures they control. Each player creates a token that's a copy of the first creature they chose, except it isn't legendary. Then each player who chose the second creature puts a number of +1/+1 counters on the token they created equal to the power of the second creature they chose. Then planeswalk away from this phenomenon. And Bad Wolf Bay, that was another nice storyline. Plane of Earth. At the beginning of combat on your turn, exile up to 1 target creature. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. And when Chaos Ensues, cards can't enter the battlefield from exile this turn. Then Planeswalk. We got 2 Streams Facility. Plane is Apalaputia. I think that's how you say it. Whenever you planeswalk to 2 Streams Facility and at the beginning of the first upkeep of the game, each player chooses Green Anchor or Red Waterfall. Each player who last chose Green Anchor may play an additional land during each of their turns. Creatures controlled by players who last chose Red Waterfall get +2/+0 and have haste. Whenever Chaos Ensues, each player who last chose Green Anchor chooses Red Waterfall and vice versa. So keep switching back and forth. We have the Prime Minister's Cabinet Room. Plane of Earth. At the beginning of combat on your turn, up to 1 target creature you control becomes a copy of target creature an opponent controls. And Will of the Council. Whenever Chaos Ensues, starting with you, each player votes for a creature you don't control. Exile each creature with the most votes or tied for the most votes. So the Prime Minister is the Prime Minister of England. We got New York, Plane of New Earth. At the beginning of combat on your turn and to end of turn, non-creature artifacts you control become 3/3 vehicles in addition to their other types and gain flying, haste, and crew 1. And whenever Chaos Ensues, create a treasure token and a 2/2 white alien creature token. And one more here, we have Pompeii. So they actually went to Pompeii. Plane of Earth. When you planeswalk to Pompeii and at the beginning of your upkeep, put an eruption counter on it. Whenever you roll a blank on the planar dice, scry 2, then put an eruption counter on Pompeii. When Chaos Ensues, Pompeii deals damage to each creature and each player equal to the number of eruption counters on Pompeii. Each player sacrifices a land, then planeswalk. So some really fun flavour on that one. Okay, on to the deck itself. So looking for the timey-wimey goodness in this one. I think that's something the 10th Doctor said as well. So of course we've got the foil etched display commander here for the 10th Doctor. So much thicker cardstock. So you would not be putting that in your deck. It's purely for display. So let's take a look at the 10th Doctor himself here. It's a mythic legendary creature, Time Lord Doctor. 3/5 for 3 blue and red. Has Alonzi. Whenever you attack, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Put 3 time counters on it. If it doesn't have suspend, it gains suspend. And we have Timey-Wimey for 7. Time travel 3 times. Activate only as a sorcery. So for each suspended card you own and each permanent you control with a time counter on it, you may add or remove a time counter. Then do it 2 more times. Okay, so that's an interesting mechanic. And next up here, we have Rose Tyler. So one of the main companions. Rose Tyler is a legendary creature, human 2/2 for 1 and white. Gets +1/+1 for each time counter on it. And has the Bad Wolf ability. Whenever Rose Tyler attacks, put a time counter on it for each suspended card you own and each other permanent you control with a time counter on it. Also has Doctor's Companion, so you can have 2 commanders if the other is the Doctor, so that makes sense. Next we have Wilfred Mott. Legendary creature, human soldier, 2/4 for 3 and a white. Look to the stars. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on Wilfred Mott. Then look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of time counters on Wilfred Mott. You may put a non-land permanent card with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So I remember Wilfred, he was an awesome character. Everybody lives. Instant for 1 and a white. All creatures gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Players gain hexproof until end of turn. Players can't lose life this turn, and players can't lose the game or win the game this turn. Everybody lives, Rose. Just this once. Everybody lives, says the 9th Doctor. Everything comes to dust. Sorcery for 7 and 3 white. Has Convoke, so your creatures can help cast a spell. Each creature you tap while casting a spell pays for 1 or 1 mana of that creature's colour. Exile all creatures except those that share a creature type with a creature that convoke the spell, all artifacts and all enchantments. And we have 4 Nox. Enchantment for 2 and white has Vanishing 4. So this enchantment enters battlefield with 4 time counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter from it. When the last is removed, sacrifice it. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, draw a card. And I think I'll skip the flavor text in the interest of time. We have the Pandorica, legendary artifact for 2 and white. You may choose not to untap the Pandorica during your untap step. For 1 and white, untap another target non-land permanent, then it phases out. It can't phase in for as long as the Pandorica remains tapped. And when the Pandorica becomes untapped or leaves the battlefield, that permanent phases in. Activate only as a sorcery. And we have the Wedding of River Song. So this was a fun storyline. You keep seeing River Song at different points and their time is out of sync. So you're not quite sure if they've met before or what happened there. Sorcery for 2 and white. Draw 2 cards, then you may exile an online card from your hand with a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. Then target opponent does the same. Cards exiled this way that don't have suspend gain suspend and time travel. So we learned about the time travel ability earlier. Adipose Offspring. These were some odd little characters. Creature alien 2/2 for 3 and white has Emerge for 5 and white. You may cast a spell by sacrificing a creature and paying the Emerge cost reduced by that creature's mana value. When Adipose Offspring enters battlefield, create a 2/2 white alien creature token. If Adipose Offspring's Emerge cost was paid, instead sacrifice X of those tokens, where X is the sacrificed creature's toughness. And we have Astrid Peth. It's Kylie Minogue. You Australians out there from the 80s would recognise her. Legendary creature, human, 2/2 for 1 and a white. Whenever Astrid Peth enters the battlefield or attacks, create a food token. Has the brand new Sky ability. Whenever you sacrifice a clue or food, Astrid Peth explores. Reveal the top card of your library. Put that card into your hand if it's a land. Otherwise, put a +1/+1 counter on it on this creature. Then put the card back or put it into your graveyard. We have a Crack in Time enchantment for 3 and white. Has Vanishing 3, so we learned about that earlier. When Crack in Time enters battlefield, and at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, exile target creature an opponent controls until Crack in Time leaves the battlefield. And the Girl in the Fireplace. So this is Enchantment Saga for 2 and white. On the first turn, create a 1/1 white human noble creature token with Vanishing 3 and prevent all damage that will be dealt to this creature. On the second turn, create a 2/2 white horse creature token with Doctors you control have Horsemanship. That's an interesting one. They can't be blocked except by creatures with Horsemanship. And on the third turn, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player this turn, time travel. So I wonder if we'll see any other cards with Horsemanship in this deck. We have Martha Jones, another companion here. Legendary creature, human cleric, 3/2 for 2 and a blue. Has Woman Who Walked the Earth. When Martha Jones enters battlefield, investigate. So that means create a clue token. It's an artifact with pay 2, sack this artifact, draw a card. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, Martha Jones and up to 1 other target creature can't be blocked this turn. Also has Doctor's Companion. Nanogene Conversion. Are you my mummy? That was a really creepy episode. A sorcery for 3 and a blue. Choose target creature you control. Each other creature becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn, except it isn't legendary. And they're all walking around with gas masks on. We have Flesh Duplicate, Creature Shapeshifter Rebel. 0/0 for 2 blue. You may have Flesh Duplicate enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it has Vanishing 3 if that creature doesn't have Vanishing. And we have the 11th hour. As this saga enters and after your draw step, add a lore counter, sack it after 3. So Enchantment Saga for 3 and a blue. On the first turn, search your library for a Doctor card, reveal it, put it into your hand and shuffle. On the second turn, create a food token and a 1/1 white human creature token with Doctor spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And the third turn, create a token that's a copy of target creature, except it's a legendary alien named Prisoner Zero. So a bit of lore there. And here we've got Amy Pond and another character. I won't spoil who the other character is. All of History all at once. Sorcery for 2 and 2 blue. Time Travel and Storm. When you cast a spell, copy it for each spell cast before it this turn. And Donna Noble, another of the Doctor's Companions, so it has that ability here. Legendary creature, human 2/4 for 3 and a red, has Soul Bond. You may pair this creature with another unpaired creature when it either enters battlefield. They remain paired for as long as you control both of them. Whenever Donna or a creature it's paired with is dealt damage, Donna deals that much damage to target opponent. And Amy Pond, legendary creature, human, 2 and a red, 2/2. Legendary creature, partners with Rory Williams. That makes sense. So when this creature enters battlefield, target player may put Rory into their hand from their library, then shuffle. Whenever Amy Pond deals combat damage to a player, choose a suspended card you own and remove that many time counters from it. Also has Doctor's Companion. Ecstatic Beauty. Sorcery for 2 and a red. This was another great episode. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may put those cards, or you may play those cards until end of turn. Put 4 time counters on each of those cards that has Suspend. Suspend 4 for a single red. And RMS Titanic, legendary artifact vehicle, 7/1 for 3 and a red, has Flying and Trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, sacrifice it and create that many treasure tokens. You can crew it for 3. And we've got a split card here. Coward and Killer. So Coward is a sorcery for 1 and red. Target creature can't block this turn and becomes a coward in addition to its other types until end of turn. And Time Travel. Killer is a sorcery for 2 and 2 red. It deals 3 damage to each target creature, or to target creature and each other creature that shares a creature type with it. Alright. And we have the Parting of the Ways, Enchantment Saga, 4 and 2 red. Exile the top 5 cards of your library on your first turn here. For each non-land card exiled this way, put a number of time counters on that card equal to its mana value. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. On the second turn, Time Travel, then Time Travel. On the third turn, for each opponent, destroy up to 1 target artifact that player controls. And the 9th Doctor, here is Christopher Eccleston, legendary creature, Time Lord Doctor, 2/4 for 1 blue and red, has haste into the TARDIS. So whenever the 9th Doctor becomes untapped, during your untap step, you get an additional upkeep step after this step. Fantastic! Sally Sparrow, and we've got the Weeping Angel back there. Those things are real creepy. Legendary creature, human detective, 2/3 for 2 white and blue. You may cast creature spells as though they had flash. Whenever one or more other creatures you control leave the battlefield, investigate. This ability triggers only once each turn. And Jenny Generated Anomaly, legendary creature, Time Lord Soldier, 2/3 for 2 red and white, has double strike. Whenever Jenny deals combat damage to a player, it explores. And Rory Williams, okay, was wondering when we'd find him. Partners with Amy Pond, it's a legendary creature, human soldier, 3/3 for white and blue, has first strike and lifelink. And the last Centurion. When you cast a spell from anywhere other than exile, exile it with 3 time counters on it It gains Suspend, then Investigate. And the 11th Doctor, here is Matt Smith himself, legendary creature Time Lord Doctor 3/2 for 1 white and blue. I am talking! Whenever the 11th Doctor deals combat damage to a player, you may exile a card from your hand with a number of time counters on it equal to its mana value. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend, and for 2, target creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. And the War Doctor, legendary creature Time Lord Doctor 3/5 for 2 red and white. Whenever one or more other permanents phase out, and whenever one or more other cards are put into exile from anywhere, put a time counter on the War Doctor. Whenever the War Doctor attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of time counters on it to any target. And if a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. Regenerations Restored, enchantment for white and blue. Has Vanishing 12. Whoa. Whenever one or more time counters are removed from Regenerations Restored, scry 1 and you gain 1 life. And then if Regenerations Restored has no time counters on it, exile it. When you do, take an extra turn after this one. That seems like a pretty strong card. Okay, on to the rest here. We have Idris, Soul of the TARDIS, legendary creature, human incarnation, 3/3 for 1 blue and red, has Vanishing 3 and Imprint. When Idris, Soul of the TARDIS enters the battlefield, exile another artifact you control until Idris leaves the battlefield. Idris has all activated and triggered abilities of the exiled card and gets +X where X is the exiled card's mana value. The Face of Bo, legendary creature alien advisor, 0/4 for 1 blue, red and white. Tap, you may cast a spell with Suspend from your hand. If you do, pay its Suspend cost rather than its mana cost. Activate only as a sorcery. So a lot of Suspend mechanic in this deck. Run for your life, instant for blue and red. 1 or 2 target creatures each gain haste until end of turn. They can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. Has Escape for 2 blue and red. Exile 4 other cards from your graveyard. So you may cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost. The Day of the Doctor, enchantment saga for 3 red and white. On the first, second and third turns, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary card. You may play that card for as long as the Day of the Doctor remains on the battlefield. Put the rest of those exiled cards on the bottom of your library in a random order, and on the fourth turn, choose up to 3 Doctors. You may exile all other creatures. If you do, the Day of the Doctor deals 13 damage to you. That's pretty crazy. And a split card here. We have Gallifrey Falls and no more. So Gallifrey Falls, instant for 4 and 2 red. Deals 4 damage to each creature. If a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead. And no more is an instant for 2 and white. Any number of target creatures you control phase out. Then we have Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Creature, Dinosaur, 7/7 for 4 red and white. Has Vigilance and Trample. Other dinosaurs you control get +1/+1 and have Vigilance and Trample. Suspend for 4, so you pay 3 red and white there. Whenever a time counter is removed from dinosaurs on a spaceship while it's exiled, create a 2/2 red and white dinosaur creature token with flying and haste. Kate Stewart, legendary creature, human scientist, 3/3 for 1 blue, red and white. Whenever you put 1 or more time counters on a permanent you control, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. And whenever Kate Stewart attacks, you may pay 8. If you do, attacking creatures get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of time counters among permanents you control. Rotating Fireplace artifact for 3, enters battlefield tapped with a time counter on it. You can tap to add an amount of colorless mana equal to the number of time counters on Rotating Fireplace. For 4 and tap, you get to time travel, activate only as a sorcery. The Moment, legendary artifact for 2. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on The Moment. For 2, tap, untap target creature you control. It phases out until the moment leaves the battlefield. And for 3, tap, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value less than or equal to the number of time counters on The Moment. Then sacrifice The Moment, activate only as a sorcery. Trenzalore Clock Tower, I think we saw this in the other deck as well. Legendary land. Tap to add blue mana, put a time counter on Translore Clock Tower. And for 1 and a blue, tap, remove 12 time counters from it and exile it. You get to shuffle graveyard and hand into your library, then draw 7 cards. Activate only if you control a Time Lord. Grasp of Fate, enchantment for 1 and 2 white. When it enters the battlefield, for each opponent, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent that player controls until Grasp of Fate leaves the battlefield. Farewell, sorcery for 4 and 2 white. I think this was a regeneration scene. Choose 1 or more, exile all artifacts, exile all creatures, exile all enchantments, exile all graveyards. And Out of Time, enchantment for 1 and 2 white. When Out of Time enters battlefield, untap all creatures and those creatures phase out until Out of Time leaves the battlefield. Put a time counter on Out of Time for each creature that phased out this way. Also has Vanishing. Ooh, and it's a mythic. Wedding Ring, artifact for 2 and 2 white. When it enters battlefield, if it was cast, target opponent creates a token that's a copy of it. Whenever an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring draws a card during their turn, you draw a card. And whenever an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring gains life during their turn, you gain that much life. And Inspiring Refrain, here we have the Ood. Sorcery for 4 and 2 blue. Draw 2 cards, exile Inspiring Refrain with 3 time counters on it. Has Suspend 3 for 2 and a blue. And As Foretold, enchantment for 2 and a blue. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on As Foretold. Once each turn you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast with mana value X or less, where X is the number of time counters on As Foretold. Fractured Identity, sorcery for 3 white and blue. Exile target non-land permanent. Each player other than its controller creates a token that's a copy of it. We've got Port Town. It's a land. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a plains or island card from your hand. If you don't, Port Town enters the battlefield, tap for white or blue. Temple of Triumph. It's another land, enters tapped. When it enters battlefield, scry 1, tap for red or white. Exotic Orchard, a land, tap to add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. Temple of Enlightenment enters tapped. When it enters battlefield, scry 1, tap for white or blue. And Prairie Stream, a plains island, tap for white or blue. Enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. Irrigated Farmland, tap for white or blue. Enters battlefield tapped, cycle it for 2. And Deserted Beach. Okay, so there's the astronaut scene I was talking about earlier. Enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Tap for white or blue. And Glacial Fortress, a land. Enters tapped unless you control a plains or an island. Tap for white or blue. Skycloud Expanse, land for 1, tap, add white and blue. Temple of Epiphany enters tapped. When it enters battlefield, scry 1, tap for blue or red. And Frostboil Snarl, as it enters the battlefield, you may reveal an island or mountain card from your hand. If you don't, it enters the battlefield, tap for blue or red. Thespian Stage, a land, tap for colorless for 2, tap. It becomes a copy of target land except it has this ability. Fury Calm Snarl, as it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a mountain or plains card from your hand. If you don't, it enters the battlefield, tap for red or white. And War Room, tap for colorless for 3, tap, pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity. You get to draw a card. Sunbaked Canyon, it's a land, tap, pay 1 life, you get to add red or white, or pay 1, tap, sack it, draw a card. Okay, on to the rest of the deck here. We have Sundown Pass, enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Tap for red or white. Stormcarved Coast, enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Tap for blue or red. And Atraxi Warden, creature Alien Eye, 6/6 for 4 and 2 white, has flying. When it enters battlefield, exile up to 1 target tapped creature, has suspend 5 for 1 and white. And Fiery Islet, it's land, tap, pay 1 life, you get to add blue or red. For 1, tap, sack it, draw a card. Wibbly Wobbly Timey-Wimey, sorcery for 1 and blue. You can time travel and also draw a card. Time Beetle, creature, alien, insect, 1/1 for 1 and a blue. Has Skulk, so this creature can't be blocked by creature with greater power. Has Parallel Universe. Whenever Time Beetle deals combat damage to a player, time travel. And Star Whale, creature, alien, whale, 8/8, 4/6 and 2 blue. That's craziness. Flying and vigilance. Other creatures you control have ward 2. Suspend 6 for 1 and a blue. We've got a Sibylline Soothsayer, creature, human, warlock, 3/2 for 2 and a red. Has Temporal Foresight. When it enters the battlefield, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card with mana value 3 or greater. So that card with 3 time counters on it. If it doesn't have Suspend, it gains Suspend. Put the rest of the revealed cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. And Jadoon Enforcers, creature, alien, rhino, soldier, 8/8 for 5 red and white. Trample, no more than 1 creature can attack you each combat. Has Suspend 6 for 1 red and white. Psychic Paper, artifact equipment for 2. As it becomes attached to a creature, choose a creature card name and a creature type. Equipped creature has ward 1. It can't be blocked, and its name and creature type are the last chosen name and creature type. Equip for 2. And of course, the TARDIS. What is a Doctor Who deck without a TARDIS? Artifact vehicle, 2/4 for 2 with flying. Whenever TARDIS attacks, if you control a Time Lord, the next spell you cast this turn has Cascade and you may Planeswalk. Crew it for 2. Sonic Screwdriver, artifact for 3, and I think this is a different one, different artwork than what they had in the other deck. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. For 1 tap, untap another target artifact. For 2 tap, scry 1. For 3 tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. Arcane Signet, artifact for 2, tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. And Soul Ring, of course. You got to have a commander deck with a Soul Ring, artifact for 1, tap for 2 colorless. Clock Spinning, instant for a single blue, has buyback 3. So you may pay an additional 3 as you cast the spell. If you do, put this card into your hand as it resolves. Choose a counter on target permanent or suspended card. Remove that counter from that permanent or card, or put another of those counters on it. And Thought Vessel, artifact for 2. You have no maximum hand size. Tap for colorless. Mind Stone, artifact for 2. Tap for colorless. For 1 tap, sack it, draw a card. Talisman of Creativity, artifact for 2. Add or tap for colorless or tap for blue or red. It deals 1 damage to you. Lightning Greaves, artifact equipment for 2. Equip creature as Haste and Shroud. Equip for 0. Talisman of Conviction, artifact for 2. Tap for colorless. Tap to add red or white. Talisman of Conviction deals 1 damage to you. Evolving Wilds, it's a land. Tap, sack it, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Command Tower, a land. Tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Path of Ancestry, enters the battlefield, tap to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. When that mana is spent to cast a creature spell that shares a creature type with your commander, scry 1. Temple of the False God, it's a land. Tap for 2 colorless mana. Activate only if you control 5 or more lands. And Thriving Bluff, enters the battlefield, tap. Does it enter the battlefield, choose a color other than red. Tap to add red or 1 mana of the chosen color. Myriad Landscape, enters, tap for colorless. For 2 tap, sack it. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards that share a land type. Put them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Mystic Monastery, a land, enters the battlefield, tap for blue, red, or white. Ominous Cemetery, a land, tap for colors. For 5 tap, exile it. Target creature's owner shuffles it into their library. And we have Rogue's Passage, a land, tap for colors. For 4 tap, target creature can't be blocked this turn. And then finally, we've got some basic lands. So you've got the TARDIS here, some different artwork. So we've got 3 plains and then the islands. That's cool. 3 of those. Mountains, we're probably going to get 3 of those, I would guess. Yep. And then onto the tokens here, we've got a 1/1 soldier. On the other side, a flying haste 2/2 dinosaur. The 1/1 soldier and a horse 2/2 on the other side. Token creature horse. Doctors you control have horsemanship. A 1/1 human. Doctor spells you cast costs 1 less to cast. Flipping around. Treasure here. We've got tap, sack this artifact, add 1 mana of any colour. Clue token. Pay 2, sack this artifact, draw a card. On the other side, human noble. 1/1, vanishing 3, prevent all damage that be dealt to this creature. Food, and he's dipping the fish fingers in custard, right? Token artifact food. For 2 taps, sack this artifact, you gain 3 life. I think that was what Matt Smith's character would do. We got a copy token here. And an alien, 2/2. On the other side, we've got the dinosaur, 2/2 flying and haste. Another dinosaur, copy token, alien, and copy token. Okay, a bit of repetition now. Got the dinosaur, alien, copy, and a soldier, 1/1. And then parts of the turn, and popular magic formats. And that is it. Okay, so lots of timey-wimey goodness here. A lot of use of the suspend mechanic. I thought it was fun that it has a bit of horsemanship in it as well. So let me know in the comments what you think about this deck, and we'll be taking a look at the rest of the Doctor Who decks in the coming days. And if you've missed any of our Doctor Who videos so far, link in the corner to the complete playlist. Hope everyone's staying safe and healthy out there. Thanks for watching and have a great day.